Across the border, Pakistan too celebrated independence. It falls on August 14th. So one day before India's Independence Day is Pakistan's Independence Day. In fact, it's an interesting comparison. Two countries that were once together, two countries that became free together, but 75 years later, look at the difference. India is celebrating its achievements and Pakistan is celebrating what could have been. Their founding fathers had a unique vision for the country, a modern Islamic state. But 7 decades later, Pakistan has lost its way. An oversized army, ethnic tensions, separatist movements, terror groups, and a collapsing economy. Pakistan is one bad day away from being a failed state. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif himself admitted some of these problems. He hoisted the national flag at the Jinnah Convention Centre in Islamabad, and this was his message to his country.
ऐसा नहीं कि हमने तरक्की नहीं की, अलबत्ता ये हकीकत अपनी जगह मौजूद है कि जिस तसलसल, तवज्जो और रफ्तार से हमें अपनी मंजिल को हासिल करना था, इसमें हमसे इज्तिमाई कोताहियां हुई हैं। यही वो मिशन है जो आज हमारे सामने है और जिसे हमने पूरा करना है।
Pakistan's leaders need a lesson on independence, on what it means to be politically, strategically and financially free, sort of like an example to follow. And this weekend, they got a suggestion, and that too from an unlikely source. Former Prime Minister Imran Khan. On Saturday, Imran Khan was addressing a rally in Lahore. He said, if you want to see a truly independent country, look at India. You have to listen to this.
हिंदुस्तान अमेरिका का स्ट्रेटेजिक एलाई है और उनको जब अमेरिका ने कहा कि आप रूस से तेल ना खरीदें तो उनके फॉरेन मिनिस्टर ने क्या कहा ये देखें।
Tell me, buying Russian gas is not funding the war? I mean, why is it's only Indian money and oil coming to India which funds, but it's not gas coming to Europe which funds? I mean, I don't know, somewhere. I mean, let's be a little even-handed out here. If countries in Europe and the West and the United States are so concerned, why don't they allow Iranian oil to come into the market? Why don't they allow Venezuelan oil to come into the market? I mean, they've squeezed every other source of oil we have.
ये होता है आजाद मुल्क.
Imran Khan played that soundbite. Now, quick recap for you. That was Imran Khan playing out a statement by India's foreign minister. What's more, he was praising India. He said India is standing up against the West. And don't mistake Imran Khan's intentions here. He has not suddenly turned into an Indian ally. He is using India to make a political statement in Pakistan to take on the current government of Pakistan. Having said that, his logic is faultless for a change. Just think about what the word independence means. It means you're standing on your own 2 feet. Your politics, your foreign policy, your economy, all of it is decided based on your national interest, which is not the case with Pakistan. Their economy is basically an extension of China's. And I have some numbers for you. Pakistan's total outstanding debt to China is $14.5 billion. That's the number on the state budget. Outside this budget, there are more loans. $7 billion from China's State Administration of Foreign Exchange, $8.7 billion from Chinese banks. Put together, that's a lot of $1 billion, and that's a lot of clout. If China pulls out that money, Pakistan could collapse. Just look at their energy crisis. China operates multiple power plants in Pakistan. They're part of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, the CPEC. Earlier this year, Islamabad missed some of its payments to China. So guess what China did? They shut down the power plants. They plunged Pakistan into darkness. China's debt trap is clearly one reason for Pakistan's crisis, but it's not the only one. Poor leadership is an even bigger issue. For 75 years, Pakistan's leaders have mismanaged the economy, both civilian and military leaders. Today, Pakistan's foreign reserves have fallen below $9 billion. Inflation is at 21.3%, trade deficit at $48 billion. And total debt is more than $90 billion. And because of these numbers, Pakistan is dependent on foreign assistance. They've received 22 bailouts from the IMF. 22 bailouts. It's a record that's unlikely to be beaten. In fact, they're waiting for bailout number 23. The IMF is expected to disburse $7 billion later this month. But getting that loan was a tough job. In the end, Pakistan's second godfather had to step in. I'm talking about Saudi Arabia. Riyadh agreed to retain $3 billion in Pakistan's central bank, and that's when the IMF moved ahead with a bailout. So 75 years later, Pakistan is surviving on a diet of three things: loans from China, bailouts from the IMF, and handouts from Saudi Arabia. Every time the economy collapses, Pakistani prime ministers catch a flight to Riyadh. How long can this continue? After all, bailouts are not a substitute for a functioning economy. Pakistan's track record is a guide for all countries, a guide on what not to do. Their budget is heavy on the military, light on welfare. Their foreign policy is high on terrorism, light on security. As a result, Pakistan is stuck. It has become a dangerous nuclear basket case. And that is bad news for the neighborhood. A thriving Pakistan is key to South Asia's future. It is key to India's future as well. But unless Pakistani leaders get their act together, independence will remain a theory in the country. A constant reminder what could have been. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.